I'm a 98-year-old man. I am a 48-year-old woman's body.
Why does it keep flipping on me?
I think your big boobs would hold that up there, Katie.
They're not that big at all.
Grab your forks and knives for another juicy episode of Restaurant Diaries podcast.
Hi, we're back with Restaurant Diaries. I'm Anna Marie, and here's Katie.
Hello.
We thought we'd come back and talk to you about tipping because on the last one, that was the comments that people wanted to hear our thoughts on it. So, things that I have not said for 30 years because I own restaurants. I'm trying to relax and give you real opinions. Tipping has gotten out of control with everything to me as a consumer. Going to, a kiosk or picking up to-go food and they spin the little thing around. Would you like tip? No, I don't. Nope. I'm good, thanks.
Well, it's not even like $1 tip. They like add in.
I know, 21%.
Yeah, they're like, you gotta add 21%.
Nope,
I'm like,
nope, not to hand me the
all
box.
he did was give you all he
No.
did. And the tips don't go to the cooks. They usually go to the people who just
Yeah.
handed you the food. Like,
Yeah.
It's not like the tips are to supplement cooks' salaries or anything.
Yeah.
It's just extra money for the people at the front who spun the thing around and said click.
Well, so part of the reason I don't have an opinion on this publicly normally is because the first thing you hear is, well, you should pay them more and you should pay them a living wage. My people are paid very well.
I
And
can attest to that.
I have been taking care of my employees for 30 years.
I took a pay cut when leaving.
So here's a news flash for most people who don't want to hear it. The servers do not want their hourly rate increased. They make way more this way. Point blank. Period. I understand the goodness in your heart. You want them all making $17, $18 an hour. They already are. They just don't want you to know it. And I'm not supposed to say that. So there you go. Now, of course, there are places that don't. I understand. I am not speaking about them. I'm only speaking about my own experience. Katie is an accountant and she worked for me for years. There's a reason.
I took a pay cut when I left, and then I supplemented my income by continuing to work
here on the weekends. Yep. People don't see that part. So when, again, in this new world where you can't find any help and no one wants to work and everyone has an OnlyFans page and everyone's going to make $1 million.
Feet Finder too.
Yeah, Feet Finder. Right, so yes, and exactly, Feet Finder and all the other things out there. People don't realize it's the way to go. I can't tell you right now no one wants to do it or no one wants to admit they want to do it or it's hard to get people to show up. They are not living beyond the poverty level in my experience. Again, normally that's why the ones that like it here and they stay for years because it's good money. The other side of that is all the craziness. Going to Starbucks and now we can add a tip. Going to Giant, do you want to add your change? No, I don't.
To feed the poor, you're like, I am the poor.
Exactly, I am the poor.
Well, there's a difference, I think, in the tipping industry when it's an actual service that you're being provided.
Absolutely.
And then compared to the people who didn't really provide you a service, it's just part of their daily job routine and skill set.
Like I'm an over tipper.
That's where the tipping industry has gone out of control. Like you haven't provided me with an actual service and you're still expecting an additional tip. And that's where that fine line is being crossed here.
I think the tipping for takeout is weird.
Yeah, I agree.
I think it's the corporations maybe that are trying to offset paying their employees more.
Yes, I absolutely do. And again, most small places can't get away with that. I'd be crucified. I'd be hung from a tree somewhere. And they'd be like, Anna Marie's making all this money and Anna Marie hasn't been paid 9 months. Anna Marie makes sure that her employees are taken care of first. I am all for that. If I go somewhere, I am an over tipper. Any service that I am given, I am an over tipper. But no, some of it's getting
out of control. And then I feel bad because the look on their face.
I know, they look
like
at you
upset. And I'm like, but A year ago, you weren't expected a tip, and now because you can add it to your fun little touch screen, it's, but I think there's also industries that we don't realize pay less. I know an ice cream store that pays their employees less than the minimum wage per hour because they expect tips from the customers, and if those equal the minimum wage, that's how they get away with it. So they are now, but that's where the corporations are getting out of the consumers. Why is a corporation allowed to pay them less? It's not a tipping serving wage.
Right.
They're paying them $5 an hour because they're forcing you to tip on your credit card when you come get ice cream scooped.
That's wrong,
that's where I think the corporations are really working us consumers to make up that $2.50 an hour for their income. Servers don't want the hourly wage. Ice cream scoopers should not be making $5 an hour relying on tips for, but it gets a little ridiculous now. Like the corporations are relying on us to make up their hourly wage.
In the past week, I've truly figured out that I'm a 98-year-old man. I am a 48-year-old woman's body. Because I think it all just circles back to everyone is special. And everyone is entitled. And it's like, wow. It's just been a lot.
Yeah, tipping is, I've never not tipped going out somewhere, like as a server. No matter how bad the service was, no matter how bad the food was, I'm still going to tip you.
I'm going to tip you, I'm going to tip you more, and I'm going to keep my mouth shut because I have done it before.
Well, exactly, and I think that's where we have more empathy for people because we know, if a server isn't on their game, we don't know that that's them all the time. It could just be they're having a bad day. We understand. We have that empathy. This is back to I wish more people worked in the restaurant industry to gain the empathy of understanding why you tip a server versus somebody at takeout. Because some people are starting to hold that I don't have to tip you even against servers. I've seen a lot of that. Well, I can't afford to tip. I went out to eat. I came here knowing you're expecting a tip for your service, and I don't have enough money to tip. That's your own prerogative, but at the same time, we're now crisscrossing wires here, I think, where
I think if you don't feel you should tip, I think that takeout is a perfectly good option.
I agree. And as a server, please don't leave a note saying, I wish I could tip, I'm just broke right now. Just don't tip.
Just let it go.
Then I assume you forgot, and I'm like, okay, that's not just don't leave 50 cents, and you're like, that's all I have, just don't tip. At least I can tell myself they just forgot to tip, and I feel better, because they forgot. They didn't mean to not tip me. But when you leave a little note or you leave 50 cents, it's like a slap in the face, and I'd rather fool myself and say, they wanted to, they just forgot.
Well, again, I said, the owner part of me, the last, 4 years, our school-age kids, they've always tipped fabulously.
Oh, yeah. They
always.
Our mornings
we would have, exactly. And you'd have the old curmudgeonly server, I don't want to wait on them. The other four would be like, I'll take them.
I'll take them.
Because they're going to. Now, I will tell you that I think the over-tipping everywhere has cut that back.
I agree.
So again, tipping is now also age-related.
I think so too. And I think they tip a server the same amount that they'll tip their Starbucks barista.
Yes.
Even though it's a totally different aspect. They're like, well, I'll leave you $2 because that's what I leave the Starbucks person.
Yeah.
They made you a drink, and you left. And that's all I brought you your water, your pancake, your chocolate milk, your bill. I cleared your plate.
I sometimes cut up your child's food for you.
Exactly. And then I wipe it off the floor.
I wiped it off the floor. I did all of that.
Yep. Yeah. But so it's one of those, it's a big generational thing.
You should feel my chest because I'm not allowed to have opinions about this kind of stuff, and it's scaring me a little bit.
No, but it's not really, it's opinion, and I mean, to each their own, and you're not saying, there's not any type of specific right or wrong. Again, it's all your own prerogative. It's just, yes, again, as somebody who's been in the restaurant industry for 30 years, you have seen the change, and the last 5 years have been the biggest changes in the industry.
Ever.
And it's come quick, and it's come tough, and there's no room for error because as soon as you step out of line, everyone
expects everything to be their way.
And there's no empathy anymore. There's just literally, you have to be perfect, and as soon as you're not, we walk away. And we're not going to come back. You no longer get a second chance.
Yeah.
At a
well,
small restaurant. But, you know, like, as a server, I've seen it, I've been there, I've done it all with the customers. So, like, people come here and they're like, it was a 10-minute wait for fresh cooked food. I'm never coming back again.
I know.
But
you
they'll go to
can
McDonald's
wait in a chain parking lot
for a fast food burger.
Fast food for 45 minutes.
Yep.
And you can get to the end of the line and you can be missing 3 of your things.
And you're still going back next
you're
week.
still going to go back.
Yep.
It is mind-boggling.
And that's where I think a lot of small businesses people don't want to open anymore. They don't want a small business because it's tough.
I am so tired. Ronald McDonald is not running around from car to car checking the bags. I actually am.
Yeah.
I am going from table to table, putting out fires. Yep. Hi, I'm so sorry they didn't give you silverware. Let me go grab that. You know, I don't understand. There's definitely a double standard of, it seems that the chains get a pass. They're
do.
like, hey, it's McDonald's. You can't help it.
Well, there's only,
but,
it's all young kids working there.
I know.
Our servers are 20. They're not.
It's like saying, I have the same pool of help. I can't find anybody either.
Yep. And then again, we're back to the wage. McDonald's corporation guy is making millions of dollars.
Again, haven't been paid 9 months.
So it's, the double standard comes, and the double standard's never in the small guy's favor.
It doesn't seem to be. Not in
our area and not in our experience. I mean, it's, again, we've seen it, we've heard it, and then I see people who, so it's frustrating too, because we are a small business. We're very small. You only have maybe 10 or 12 employees at a location, and they're trying to do everything, and there's no room for error, and again, you don't get the break where other guys may get the break. And I mean, McDonald's is now like, you have to go order your own food at a touchscreen.
I know.
Like, it's not, there's no service involved with these companies anymore. So it's self-serve, it's cold, and it takes a half an hour, and their standards are here and your standards are way up here. And you don't have the resources financially to do what they have the option to do.
No.
And it's difficult, I think.
Yeah, those touchscreens are expensive.
Well, that's where they're at. That's where they're spending their money. And I mean, they're all remodeling every couple of years, and
it's tough.
How do you feel the industry would change if restaurants were required to pay their servers a wage instead of tipping anyone?
You wouldn't have any people.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I can't find people now. So my biggest fear, it is not that I will have to pay them $15-16 an hour. That's not my fear. My fear is they will make it that we have to pay them $15, $16, $17 an hour, and nobody will apply anymore, because if they were making quote unquote server rate, they're making $29, $30, $34 an hour, $60
sometimes
an
more,
hour.
depending on where you're
$60
working
an hour.
at,
You have increased their pay rate and lowered their income.
Yeah.
And considering that the pool for the service industry is so small right now, I don't know what would happen.
They wouldn't work. There was a local chain that had a restaurant, and they had a standard of paying their servers a standard wage rather than tips. In our area, they could not get anyone to work because servers don't want the standard wage. They don't care about the $16 an hour. If I'm making $16 an hour to get on my hands and knees to clean up your child's pancake on the floor, I can go make that bagging your groceries too. And you're not going to yell at me and be mean to me.
You're not going to yell at me and be mean to me, yeah.
If the potential of income is the same, whether I'm serving you, running around, as a server, you could walk 6 miles a day running back and forth, you know.
Easy.
Or I can stand on a mat at a grocery store and ring you up for $16 an hour. I'm going to do that.
Yeah. Well, see, I'm mentally ill. I would still do this because I like the people part.
Well, again, but that's, we're different. But you know how most people think. It's,
people are looking for the easiest route.
Exactly.
I do that.
It's, and if you're getting paid the same amount, whether you're doing something more laborious or not, 98% of the people are going to go to the less laborious job and something that they won't get in trouble for, that they won't be blamed for.
They can slide under the radar.
Exactly. Just do the bare minimum for their money. You
We
can't
thought-
be a bare minimum server.
No. Or you can try, but
It'll eventually come out.
yeah. Over the weekend, just locally, I saw 2 restaurants not open because didn't have enough staff. I'm constantly looking for employees. Same 6 people apply over and over and over again and over again.
Because those are the same 6 crazy people who are still willing to be in the restaurant business these days.
No, one woman, she's applied 6 times. Has she made it through the door once? Nope.
That's the other thing. I
Nope.
don't
Understand.
They put all this, I mean, how many times have we had an interview in person, they contact you for a week begging you for a job, and you're like, all right, be here at 8:30. And then
Nope.
they just don't show up. And
Yeah.
it wasn't, I'm like, did you find another job between now and then, or did you decide you just didn't?
I don't do well in the mornings.
Yeah.
That's I get that a lot.
And I will say, breakfast servers, people don't realize.
It's harder.
Yes, it is difficult because it's not as common as a lunch or dinner place.
Yeah.
So breakfast is more difficult for people to be presentable and awake at decent hours.
At a decent hour and be polite.
Hey man, I remember being here at 5 a.m. ready to go and happy and cheery, and we're opening, and the customers are ready to go at 5:30, and they're waiting at the door like, hey, you gonna open yet? And people aren't.
It's not
But
the
I
same.
think again, the pandemic changed the way people function. People aren't up at 6 a.m. anymore because they're not driving to work. They're working from home. So they don't have that, they're not up early anymore. And they, 'cause they don't have to be.
Yeah, it used to be at 5:30 in the morning, there used to be people in here waiting for us. And we would let them in early. And we were just ready.
Yeah.
Now, we don't get our first real pop till like 9.
And that's because that's what everybody is
People,
doing.
the world's just different.
Yeah. You don't have to get ready. You don't, I mean, my commute is 0. I wake up and
I
it's,
have been
you know,
consciously working on that all week. That my 98-year-old inner old man that is living in this woman's body needs to start adjusting that nothing is ever going to be the same again. And this is it.
But it's how do we adjust in a way that you can keep everybody happy? And that's what's a really difficult aspect right now, because
I don't know if it's possible.
because you're an industry that serves everybody. You're not a niche. You're not a, 35 to 45-year-old area. That's not what you focus on. Your customer base is 0 to 150.
It is.
So you've got such a wide variety of people to keep happy. That's the other thing customers need to also keep in mind when visiting any place of business. Things change because they have to. And
Excuse me.
the
Yes.
transition is difficult.
I know. And see, but that's the part that the new staffing entity doesn't do yet. Like, I love the fact that you can have a table with a newborn baby, and then the next table is 4 70-year-old women wearing their red hats out for lunch.
Yes.
And again, this is why I love this business. I like to get to talk to all of them. This morning, I have spent all week out on the floor trying to train people. So I'm out on the floor, and they're like, hey, are you Anna Marie? And I'm like, yeah. Yes, I'm dressed like a mechanic.
Are you
'cause
the Anna Marie?
I'm also cooking. They'll actually come out and say, they're like, oh, I called, I was running late, and you told me it was not a problem. Come on in. What else would I say, ma'am?
Yeah,
Well, someone told her last week if she wasn't here by 1:45, she couldn't come in. I said, oh. I was like, oh, I didn't know. I'm sorry. I was like, oh, I didn't catch it. All right. So, yeah. It's just... I'm gonna use some of these as you being younger than me and the world changing.
But see,
when I say something that is just gone forever, I just want you to give me a little tap and go, hey, I'm gonna need you to wind that up because that's never coming back, and you're sounding like an old man.
Yeah, but see, I have the same hope. I mean, I don't like the way the new generation is curving. Like, I'm not a fan of it. I'm still a hard-working individual.
Well,
like, it's...
I got in trouble last week for saying it was young people. It's not all young people.
It's not all young people, and I don't mean that. It's because I think that's who we're surrounded by more, is the younger generation. Older
They
people,
are the ones who are who have the most willingness to try.
but see, I don't think they take criticism well.
No, I was going to say they quit the easiest.
Because if
They're willing
if someone
looks at them the wrong way.
Yes. Or
It's
if
like,
they're not getting it right away. If
Yeah.
you're like, well, that's not how we do it, well, then, well, fine, I'm just going to quit. And I'm like, well, no, we're
Yeah,
going
it's
to
like,
help you get there.
it's like we're just going to do this together a little
Yeah.
slower. We got this.
Well, I mean, how many cooks have walked out because,
Yeah.
well, that's not how we do it here. Well, that's how I did it at my last restaurant. Okay, 20 years been here. It's not broken. Don't
we're
fix
not
it.
gonna do it
And they
differently.
leave because they're not willing to change their ways and their earning. And I think it's just in the restaurant business since COVID again, the older generation of cooks said F this and they're out.
Oh, most of them.
Like that's why we don't
Most
see
of them are
that's,
way out.
that's why you don't see our generation cooks and servers anymore because they said they saw the changes and they said I'm not doing this
They
anymore.
were smarter
And
than us.
They left.
They were smarter than us, and they
it's-
caught on faster.
it's-
Anna Marie keeps banging her head on the brick.
Yeah, like it's one of those they left full time and they only work part time like I do as a little fun here and there. But a lot of the people left the restaurant industry full time because of the changes and they saw it was going to be it's now an ever changing industry. The restaurant industry is constantly changing and it wasn't like that before. And
No,
now
it wasn't.
it's all the new things.
I'm hanging real tough. I'm trying to keep inside the four walls at both locations. I would like them to be. I'm trying. We're finding them slowly but surely.
Yeah.
What do you think as a restaurant owner you're going to have to do if they make these changes to stay with the times?
It's yeah, you'd have to limit because I mean your food cost is your
We just started looking at limiting our menu a little bit. Again, 5 years ago, Katie and I could cook for 450 people. Now we have to pay 6 people to cook for 450 people. And we used to be able to do it with 3 servers. Now there's 7 or 8, plus 2 bussers and a host. And when I opened the new restaurant, host was like the most foreign concept to me ever on the planet.
your overhead
I was
is
like,
already
why? I know. I was like, why are we paying someone just to stand there and tell you when you can sit?
your
There's an
overhead is
empty
high
seat.
and your profit is already low in a restaurant business. Honestly, it is because
I know, but I was wrong. We needed up there. We needed it because, like fighting over servers, fighting over tables,
because the
and-
sections
yeah.
and yes, you can't rotate because then they're still angry about rotations. If you have a section and people see it their own, they're mad because you have one more table than I have
know,
or one
you
more
have-
chair.
you have one more chair.
You have 15 seats and I have 16 seats and that's just too much and I can't do this and there's combining of tables and stuff. Nope.
I know.
No.
This would all be easier if I drank. I don't know. Either way better or way worse, one or the other. But
Well, and I think part of your problem, again, we're back to you pay too much. So, like, your servers should be helping pay for the busters and the hostess and
Yeah, we
everything
don't.
else.
Yeah, I don't make
But
them do
you
that.
pay them out of pocket and the servers aren't. Any restaurant I've worked at besides here that had busters and hostess, there was a percentage that we tipped out. You, again, we're back, you pay a lot of money. for
well, I
people.
try to take care of people.
I know you do. And that's,
But again, that's
I know.
this year it's been hard
I know.
because they don't even care. They don't care, appreciate it, realize it
Yeah.
at all. And again, not everybody. It's not a blanket statement. I'm saying it has definitely gotten harder.
But I think everybody can relate to that. Anyone in the general public cannot out loud and say, you know what, not a single thing has changed since COVID, and I am so happy with the way this world is going. Because if you do, I want your
Something wrong
world.
with you, yeah.
I want to live where you're living because in general, we are seeing this change. And
Yeah.
it's an everlasting change, I think.
Yeah, I don't know. It will always, somewhere in our conversation, it will always go back to staff and hiring, firing, because it's so much
You
of
don't get
our
a chance
day.
to fire anyone because they
no,
all
I don't.
quit before you get a
Yeah,
chance to anymore.
We'll let you have 900 chances.
Oh yes,
I will. I'm a sucker. I will always look on the bright side, and things
She
could be
is.
worse.
She
And
is.
we're gonna work through this together.
She is.
Nope, they will always kick me when I'm down. They will wait until.
She will give you the sweatshirt off her back, and you will walk by flipping her off with it, and she'll be like, "That's okay. If you need another one, you just let me know."
No,
Like
I try.
she's,
I try so hard.
and that's where people think have really taken advantage of Anna Marie, that Anna Marie that I know. And that's where like people are like, Anna Marie's so mean. I'm like, no, she's a business owner. And that's another thing I think people forget.
Oh, yeah.
When you're an owner of a business.
Like, this is a hobby.
Yes.
It's the world's most expensive hobby.
But they're like, well, she gets so angry. This is your livelihood. If something goes wrong, they can just quit and go find a new one. It's not. You can't do that. You've invested your literal time, money, sweat, and tears into this place.
Yeah, no, in the last year, again, with the new place, in the last year, I actually worked my butt off and I watch them ignore customers. Or I watch them forget a customer.
Nobody has the I treat it as my own business motto anymore.
Oh no. Well, see,
I'm sorry, not everyone. Most of because they're selfish. And it's entitlement of this isn't my place.
Dad was old school.
My name's not on the restaurant.
My dad said no one will ever care about it like I will, and I don't expect them to, because I take the good, the bad,
and the ugly.
I get something fun out of this. Perfect. If I go bankrupt, that's on me, and was the way I was raised. But
they still need to put some effort into it.
That's what I'm saying. The lack of effort. So. Do think that it's super important for my sense of humor. I think that every time we chat, we should circle back, and I should get to tell you one dumb thing that happened, and we can either be proud of Anna Marie that she kept her shit together, or we can chastise Anna Marie because she did not handle it like a trooper. I handled everything like a trooper this week.
I've been here, again, I've been with you through the good, the bad, the ugly, the crazy, the not crazy, and all of it combined together. I'm surprised you're not a raging alcoholic. I'm surprised I'm not a raging alcoholic. I mean, even I've turned into you after so long. Like, I'm like, ooh, that was Anna Marie.
When Katie works here and I'm not here, they're like, oh, little Anna Marie's here. Because she sounds just like me.
Yeah, it's kind of scary. So what happened this week, on this week's episode of The Dumb Stuff?
Right. So this week, I opened, and I turned all the lights on, I unlocked the door, and I made coffee. And people came in. We weren't open yet. I was like, hey, have a seat. We'll get you a cup of coffee. I turned around to tell Alex I let people in. I came back out. People were going. I said, where'd the people go? I told them we were closed. I said, you did what? I said, okay. They're supposed to come here for service. We want them to come in.
Did they come back when you guys were open?
Glory be to God. Sure did. Came back. Okay. And when they came back, I apologized.
Yeah.
The two cooks are like, that's amazing. I would have never walked back to the door. I'm like, I wouldn't have either. I'm like, I don't know. Now again, server was not wrong. Was not wrong that we were closed. Server was corporate.
And it's on how they approach things too, because corporate servers are way different than.
Well, so they're no
small
skin off their nose if those people never came back.
Yes,
it hurts me.
But that's also why you need a buster and a hostess and 19 other people, because when you go to a corporate place, the server is only the one who takes your order. You've got a food runner.
And then someone else takes,
they're used to it, and then they come to a small mom and pop shop who can't afford the 19 people, and they've got to work a little bit for but they don't realize they get to keep more of their money also, because the tips are no longer being spent out to 19 other people. How did you address it with the server?
I did not lose my stuff. I said, hi, didn't know how to explain it. I said, they weren't hurting anything. Just let them come in, sit down. I made coffee because I drank some. So just give them a cup and tell them, we'll be with you in just a minute. Kitchen's getting set up.
Oh, and most of the time.
They would have been lovely.
I was going to say, most time people
They would have been great.
Are okay with it. Mm-hmm. Or, if you came in late and they're here beyond closing time, we're slowly going to start, you'll see us doing some, but don't mind, take your time, still don't. But then you get the ones who stare and bulk, and it's just.
I know. I walked away for 2 minutes the other day, and all of a sudden there's a lovely table having lunch, and I had already spoken to them, and they were happy with everything, and it was their first time to that location, and we're chatting, and I went back into the kitchen to check on the guys, and I come back out, and they have the chairs up on the tables.
Wow, there's people there. Again, with the sweeping and cleaning, there's
there's people in here. I said, nothing says get out. I said, like, that's like a universal symbol for please go away. Why would you do that?
Yeah. Because they've already received their money into them. They're done for the day and it doesn't matter.
Yep.
And that's why, as a server, some servers, as soon as they get that tip and that credit card, they are done with you. They are walking away.
See, again, my father, he's 82. Oh, he would have beat me. He would have beat me. He would have straight up beat me. When we opened this place, I told him I didn't know what I was doing. I was like, we're going to wing it. I don't know what's going on, but we're going to try this out. It was, where people choose to spend their money is a big deal. If they give you that respect,
Yeah.
you have to earn it.
See, I always loved working in restaurants because when I mention it, people are like, you work there? Also, like, when they don't, they like stare at you and it's because you have makeup and your hair is down and you're not all sweaty and gross. And I'm like, picture this sweaty, gross with an apron on the front.
Some pancake mix down my boob.
Oh, you know me, and when I'm cooking, I got to flip my apron when I come out and go talk to people because I'm like, I swear more pancake batter made it on the grill than it was on me right now because we move so fast. But, and I think we should also just let all of your listeners know that this is just a venting session. We absolutely love the craziness that comes with the restaurant. It really is.
I wouldn't have done it. It's 30 years.
Any topic
It's
that
30
anyone
years.
wants to know, let us know. Like, what do customers want to know? People who haven't worked in restaurants, what are their questions? What do they think it's actually like?
Everybody thinks that I'm a multimillionaire.
Well, I know that's not true.
Everybody.
I love you, but that is not true.
Nope.
And I mean, your size is too big for the again, your profits are little or because your portions are too big. When food increases in the grocery store, the cost, it also increases for restaurants. Remember that.
Zoe, I have a 15-year-old, and we went through it with her and with Coop, where when they hit 15, 16, the Christmas list changes. And all of a sudden, they're asking for like Gucci and Prada, and I said, "Who's that for?"
My kid tells me to just swipe the plastic card.
I'll never ever forget. Cooper came home and said, "Someone at school told me you're wealthy," and I said, "They are wrong, honey. You are getting no Gucci and no Prada. We're going to Walmart."
You can get Prada.
So yeah, I can't imagine. Yeah, no, there has to be a question that somebody.
Well, that's what I'd like to know. Like, what do customers think
until
working in
until the
is like?
last one? Again, didn't know how this worked. Didn't think anyone would watch it. Didn't think anyone would give crap.
You also didn't realize that people from all over could watch and listen.
No.
So I mean,
Didn't know.
She's also not very up on her technology. She can tell you how to cook almost anything from scratch and will put together the best meal. But if you ask her to share a link on Facebook and Instagram, you have crossed the line. You have crossed the line.
There's part of me inside, the little 90-year-old little man. He's just tiny.
You are not tiny.
The little old man inside me is.
Yeah, he's definitely inside of you. There's like 3 of him inside of each other.
Small. All right, but no, I'm not giving up on any of this restaurant crap, and we're gonna fill you in each week on how good it gets and how bad it gets.
And what things we remember.
I know.
Because it always hits me during the week, and then I get here, I'm like, I don't know what to say.
I know. I've started to take notes, but again, part of me is afraid to share all of it because people think I'm mean, but I'm not.
Again, this isn't meant to offend anyone. If there's a situation that we mention, you know how like there's always that disclaimer, anything that seems
no one was
related
hurt.
to anything real.
No one was hurt in the filming of this podcast. I swear to God.
Anything that is related to real life is purely coincidental. Like that's the disclaimer that needs to be put up. Like
I'm sorry, did I say her name was Jess?
If we talk about
Bess.
if we
change it by a letter.
If we talk about a story and you happen to have done that thing, chances are somebody else has too.
Well,
and we're not
absolutely.
specifically talking about you.
Yeah, none of it.
And
yeah.
I mean, again, it's not to make fun of, it's to show, none of this is to pick at anybody. It's literally to show customers the daily activities and things you have to deal with, other hurdles besides making the customers happy, the staffing hurdles that you have to deal with.
I think that
and it's
you should come film us for like half hour.
I'm gonna wear a body cam.
Yeah, and just have them.
Like the
you can see
glasses.
little stuff, and then you're like, oh, you thought you heard something. Now we're gonna show you half
Yeah,
hour.
right, now-
Just watch this half hour.
Now we're gonna show
and
you for
now you're gonna understand why Anna Marie has bitten all of her fingernails off, and she has an ulcer, and she's pulling her hair out. You're like, oh, all that happened. That was all Tuesday.
Yeah. And I think customers will start to as we mentioned things, they might start noticing these little idiosyncrasies in other places too, like in other servers or other restaurants, because they're everywhere.
It happens everywhere.
Exactly. That's what I mean. It's not just your servers. It's just, this is our first hand experience here.
Yeah, no.
And it's just funny.
As soon as my friends agree, I'll tell you some of the stories about their restaurants too, because it's not just me.
Oh no, it's everywhere. That's what I mean. I think it's great that we're showing people who have never been in the restaurant business or might possibly not know an actual owner of a restaurant business. They don't know the real side. They come in, they see the smiling server, and they hear the cooks moving in the back. They don't know everything happening before, during, and after the shift and the stuff that goes on in the background.
Oh no.
And I think this is a great way to give them the insight on what actually happens.
We had a server cry 3 times last week, and I didn't go anywhere near her. Had nothing to do with me. Nothing at all.
I've never made a server cry.
Oh, what?
Just kidding. I don't mean to. All the time.
When I'm too nice, Katie will actually say, "Get out of my way." And then all of a sudden there's yelling and someone's crying, and Katie's like, "They had to be told."
But
So-
they told me to leave. I was training them, and they said, "I'm good. You can go ahead." And I was like, "That's not a thing. Like, I should gonna follow me now outside the table. I'm good. I got this. I've been serving for a whole year." So, okay.
No.
I'm not mean anymore. Again, that was a long time ago before people got hurt. We now threaten with a smile. If you yell at them with a smile, it cushions it a little bit.
I do believe that. You can say anything you want in the world as long as you watch your tone.
Oh, it's definitely about the way you say it.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Well, thank you for listening to us rant. It is another episode, and if anyone watches it, we'll make another one. So we'll see what happens.
And if you want to see anything, put a comment in the comments somewhere. Let us
Tell
know what you want to hear. What do you want to know?
Tell me what you want me to tell you about. I'll tell you even if
I
I
was
get
like,
in
this
trouble
is
for
like-
it afterwards.
This is a no hold bar. We are just put it all
Well,
out there.
you keep telling me we are, but I'm a little nervous still.
When aren't you nervous?
I know. I have an anxiety ball. All right. Thanks for watching.
Bye. See you next week.